please.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Discussion item number 3. Discussion possible direction to staff to bring back proposal modifications to the personnel manual and employee group contracts to modify benefits, entitlements, and pay procedures. Mr. Johnson.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. What we're looking for is possible direction from Mayor and Council on engaging with the employee groups on the different modifications to the financial aspect of what they receive in compensation, to try to save money and plan for the future as we go through this crisis. So what we've been looking at is, first, before we start, if there's any questions that, once again, we can't answer and staff's not here, we will have to either call them or call them to come down to answer the questions. Start with the facts and assumptions as we did in the last meeting. I tried to lay everything out like that. We're expecting financially straining on the local governments and residents. We did declare a financial state of emergency. An unknown amount of timing of the stimulus from federal government, and the public health emergency leave will affect the city budget. These are the facts that we know. The assumptions coming from the League of Cities, the tax analyst, assuming deferring collection of transaction privilege tax, waiving penalties and interest, and forgiving taxes altogether is just unrealistic. The city will receive a stimulus from the federal government. We're assuming that. We don't know when. And a strong assumption that businesses are seeing a decline in revenue and thus sales tax. What we're looking at is proposed savings. Travel and training, as we mentioned last week, is about $140,000 that we think we can trim the budget in that area. And then the other areas are from the unions and the other groups. We're asking for direction from Mayor and Council if you want us to engage those groups to start discussions on possibly a temporary freeze on some of those revenues. The assumptions, again, we will receive a stimulus, we just don't know when, and tightening the budget and reducing expenditures is necessary for us to move forward in the financial disaster. If you take a look at this chart here, this is the itemized categories of what you just saw on the other slide: budget, personnel, manual, and union. Those total $251,950. Take $140,000 away from that, and you're looking at the difference of where we think we can save if we engage with some of the other groups. We don't know that. We're just trying to get direction from Mayor and Council about what your thoughts are. Should we go in that direction? Just looking for guidance on that. Are there any questions on the financial aspects of this slide?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, I have a question referring to the stimulus. You mentioned that you haven't heard anything. Do you know, or do you have an idea of what amounts we're talking about? How are they going to assist us with the stimulus package? What do you know at this point?
I don't know a lot on that aspect of it. I haven't been given any information. Basically, for the last few days, I've been prepping for this meeting right here. And likewise, last week, I was prepping for the Thursday meeting that was called. Right now, my focus is on the crisis and trying to get out of it. The particulars of a question of that magnitude, I haven't gotten to it yet. Perhaps the financial director or the deputy city manager or some other folks on my team may have that answer, but I don't have that answer right now. I haven't been able to engage in the news or social media or anything like that today.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. Is this recommendation here, does that include your recommendation of reducing the 3 unions in your negotiations to work for those 3 unions for a reduction in their contract?
Yes, sir.
It's all 3 unions.
Even prior to the negotiations, to maybe engage them on a temporary freeze on something
What?
separate from the negotiation.
What are
once
you
we go
talking
into
about between, Mr. John, from now till the end of June or, and after July the 1st?
that. Right now, I want to focus on now between the end of June
Oh, between now and the end of the
to
fiscal
see
year?
if there's any feasibility in it, if they're interested, if they would welcome it. Because
So what's that top part there, reduce the summer youth program? Is this part of what you're recommending right now? Or is that just on?
that's the concept, that's where money could be saved. None of this is etched in stone. Of the 141,000 that we talked about last week, the summer youth program was part of that, but if you take that out, you're looking at about 111,000 that we know we can save. We know the summer youth program, as it stands right now, may not happen, but if things were to get fantastic, then we would definitely want to put that back in there, and a lot of other things too. But right now, we have to go on what we don't know and focus on these numbers. And likewise on all of the other things. With the unions, these are some areas where we think we can save some money.
So between now and the end of the fiscal year, you're asking specifically for how much in a temporary reduction in their contractual obligation limits?
If we can get there.
Yeah, but how much what's the total that you're asking for the 3 unions total?
If you look at down on miscellaneous,
Okay,
you take $251,915 minus 141, about 160 or $70,000.
from the 3 unions.
Yes, sir.
And how is that divided up? Are they all contributed equally, or is, because the fire is bigger or the police, they're contributing more?
No, if you look at this chart here, these are just areas where we see we could save some money.
Okay.
I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to it other than because fire and police are different, they wouldn't be the same anyway. So we just looked where we could possibly engage discussions and save some money.
So, let me tell you how I feel.
Yes, sir.
May I, Mayor?
Go ahead, Councilman.
The people that we want to make a contribution from our contractual obligations with, these, Mr. Johnson, are the people that, the individuals that they never consider social distance at all. They can't consider social distance at all. I understand from some firefighters that, you know, their PPEs, personal protective equipment, that they didn't have, and they had to go borrow it from, or ask for help from the Nogales Sonora Fire Department. Now, we help them and they help us, but still, when it comes to those PPEs, I don't understand why we have to go to a foreign country to ask for that kind of equipment. It's kind of disturbing for me that we don't have it, even though I understand the situation, and especially maybe where the same position is back east. But I'm sure that they would need that equipment right now though too. I'm of the position, since these are our frontliners. We really don't know what impact we're going to have financially on the sales tax until we get the March sales tax. And we're not going to get that more than likely till about April the 20th. Between April the 20th and April the 23rd. I don't want to ask people who are on the front lines of this health pandemic to take a cut. I don't want you to go to them and bring us back. There must be something placed else with $55 million that we can do. I just can't see asking these individuals, and I consider even what they're saying with the sanitation individuals, where I've listened on the news and they're saying, you know, they're susceptible, with the exception of, this is only for the rear end loaders, that if the garbage isn't baggaged, that the virus could come out of that garbage. So we need to make sure that our sanitation people have PPEs also though too. That side loader is a different thing because you're not making much contact. I, for one, don't want you to go to the unions where they are our frontline people that are not governed with social distancing. They have to do what they have to do. And for us to ask the frontliners, I guess the best analogy that I can use, Colonel Johnson, is if they send you out to war and then they ask you to reduce your PPEs and that, I don't think you would be very happy about that for your troops, would you?
No.
And I just can't, it's a $55 million. I don't want to ask the union people to go ahead and take a cut when they're on the front lines. They're there every day. Even today, they did a marvelous thing of passing out the United States Chamber of Commerce so that the businesses know how to prepare themselves to ask for these loans and how these loans are forgiven and where they need to start getting their materials so they can put in for help right away. We don't want our businesses to shut down. I think that was wonderful. But I'm sure they didn't maintain 6 feet. These individuals are our front lines, and I, for one, do not want you to ask them to take a reduction. For that reason, because they're our front line people. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Go ahead, Councilman.
Mr. Mayor, I think, you know, in the situation we're in, and I'm not saying this should be done, but I think everything can be looked at. You know, I've had to look at everything, including, you know, having sodas and whatever in my office, right? So I think whatever you look at doesn't mean you're going to do it, but it's worth looking at. I think everybody's going to look at. I mean, if they're buying meat at the house, I'm sure a lot of people are looking at buying something else, even though you say, well, you know, how much of a difference is it going to make? But looking, there's no harm in looking. And I think, you know, you might as well just have everything, look at everything, and if it doesn't make any sense, and I agree to a big point that, yeah, these people are the ones that are out there. We're not out there, they're the ones that are out there. So I'd hate for them to be out there scared about what's gonna happen. But it doesn't harm anything to look at it. I can't see what the harm would be.
Well, that's what we're doing right now. We're looking at it.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything? No? Okay. Well, Mr. Johnson, I also do not agree with what you're doing here. First of all, I'm going to follow suit with Councilman Barona. Myself being employed by the city and all the 3 departments you're trying to cut, all the 3 unions. And I know how it is, sometimes the sacrifices, but honestly, I can tell you other places where you can cut, but you have neglected to take any of us in consideration with your meetings that you've been having with your team, that you're just looking at one straight thing, one direction only. We're the ones that at the very end will approve the budget. The budget belongs to the members of the city council and the citizens of Nogales. And we'll be making the determination where you're going to be spending. And I think you made a mistake. I'm sorry. You have your dream team inside the office there. You've been there. I've been here every day since this started, and you haven't asked me or asked any of the members of the council to be part of your team. You're trying to make these decisions on your own and your team, and I think that's a mistake. Okay? Because you don't have the people in there that probably will be making decisions, at least one of us in there. And to send a memo or send an email once in a while letting us know what you're doing, that's not sufficient information. And when I saw this on the agenda, I asked John what it was, and I said, John, I said, good luck. Because that's not the way you do it. That's not the way you do it. And I can understand. And right now, when you said, well, if I have the rest of the team here, I could answer the questions. No, Mr. Johnson, you're the city manager. You should answer the questions. And believe me, as long as I'm mayor, and I'm the chair of this council, you will answer the questions, not your team. So I recommend you come prepared, and and make sure that your team gives you all the information you need to present to the members of the council before you bring it to us, because what you're presenting to us is there's no options on this. You're not giving us an option. I don't see an option. You're just saying this is where I think you should go, or we should go. No, there's other places. I can tell you a bunch of places where we can go and we can save money without hitting the backbone of our city, our employees. So I myself, I don't agree with this, and it's the way I feel.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Councilman.
Well, to follow up with that, which I disagreed, but I understand the mayor in the previous meetings, I asked a question. Now, at that time, Mr. Johnson, what you were going to do is you asked to recess the meeting so that you could get the personnel. Now, and it was a long meeting. The previous meeting that we had was long. It would have been longer if we would have recessed that one time, and I of course, agreed with the mayor later on. But we would have had to have stopped the meeting. You would have had to have gone out of here, go and find the proper personnel, get the information, come back to us, answer the question, or maybe bring in the personnel that required the answers to the question. Were we going to conduct the entire meeting that way? We would have gotten out of here at around 12, 1 o'clock at night if we would have done. So I do agree with the mayor, Mr. Johnson. You have to have the answers to the questions that we ask. And it's not reasonable for us to start a meeting at 6 o'clock and then at 12 o'clock at night, which if we would have conducted it in that manner, it would have gone that long. So I do agree with that. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Johnson, let me share some thoughts on the summer youth program. I understand from some statistical data that came from the state of Washington that the apex of the virus will hit Arizona around April the 27th, the last week of April. So I don't really know what's going to be happening for our summer youth program. But basically our kids are locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that social distancing is still going to be in effect, but I just want you to consider, as you're working with Mr. Bachelier, is that just keep in mind on these reductions for that program, that the kids have been locked in their homes since March. And if we're going to reduce it, if we have to because of health reasons, social distancing, being together, whatever, understood. But I want to see if we can have those programs to offer them something to get out and do what they have to do.
Good point. Thanks.
Just to keep that in mind. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, do I have a motion on this, since we're going to vote on this, Mr. Mass? Or just
The way that
direction?
it says
Just direction.
possible direction, discussion, possible direction to staff. So
if you want to formalize the direction in the form of a motion, that would be appropriate if anybody
I
wanted.
don't think we have enough information here, and honestly, I don't think this is the way we should go on and trying to reduce by going after our unions and going after our employees and stuff like that. So what I'll do is just leave it at that. I'm not even going to table it.
So, Mr. Mayor, that is a direction then.
No, that's not a direct. That's
The direction is, which is the reason we put this up.
yeah, but I'm not accepting your direction.
No, I'm not recommending
Okay.
to do this. We were putting this up here as a concept to first find out the direction from mayor and council.
Yeah.
So this is a direction. I have your direction that this is not a direction you want to go in,
Yes.
which was the point
Yeah.
of this discussion.
Okay.
Now, we will bring more recommendations to you, and they're purely recommendations.
I recommend you prepare yourself if you're going to
Right,
bring some more.
I'm prepared right now.
Okay. Yeah. You're prepared right now?
I've been prepared. But my question is, though, and we could have gone on till midnight. Every meeting I was in up until a couple of weeks ago, the team was here, the staff was here, and you guys didn't have a problem talking to them then.
Not as long as we have this virus. This council meeting, you're lucky we're having it. You're lucky we're not having
Okay,
it by phone.
Right, absolutely. And
Okay?
I'll talk about that in some slides later,
okay.
too.
So-
About
so-
other cities that don't have a meeting.
Yes.
I didn't choose to have this meeting.
No. Well, we're going to have meetings.
I don't have a problem having meetings.
This meeting is mandated by the city charter, the first Wednesday of the month at 6 o'clock, Mr. Johnson.
So all the other cities are in violation of their charters then,
Well, maybe they are.
in a pandemic.
Yeah, maybe they are. Because this is mandated by us. I could have had it by phone. But we have to have it today
Okay.
at 6 o'clock.
So we'll be here
All the
next
other
week.
meetings that we'll have will be scheduled differently. But this one has to be. This is the way
Okay,
we're going to
I
be
got
doing
you.
it.
Yes, sir.
All right?
So, the question, do we need to, Mayor, I just want to make sure that Mr. Johnson has the direction that,
He needs to
This
find
personnel-
somewhere else besides this.
yeah,
Yes.
that's the direction. You're right.
That's the answer I wanted.
Yes.
That's all. I wanna
Yeah,
make
he
sure
needs to find something else besides this. Okay, on the second one, number 2. This one I put in the agenda. City, the manager's report, reference to city actions in response to epidemic, including modifying employee work schedules. Could you explain this to us, Mr. Johnson?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. Before I start, I have some comments, and we'll get to some answers on the personal protective equipment in the slides that are upcoming too.
Thank you.
So, as this thing started, as a measure to combat COVID-19, the city transitioned to the first phase of minimal manning, which is the reason for this discussion point, and alternate workplace practices. In accordance with the Center for Disease Control and Prevention recommendations, the city has implemented procedures to reduce the risk of spreading COVID-19. Of significant note is that the city of Nogales had no plan in place for this type of event. So there is no playbook or right answer for how to navigate through this event. For me, my first priority is to protect the workforce as much as possible. My approach is measured and methodical, but unfortunately no one at the federal, state, or local levels has shared any triggers or decision points on what to do or when to do them. Quite possibly because they don't know. Or if they don't know, if they do know, they're not sharing them with me or anybody else. If information or direction is incomplete, I always weigh courses of action with an informal decision matrix that in this situation is based on facts, assumption, and intuition. I rely on the data I have in front of me, my previous extensive experience in emergency management, a master's degree in strategic intelligence and homeland security, and some doctoral work in organizational leadership. In addition to my experience conducting combat operations. The two scenarios I mentioned above involve force protection and saving lives. So there are many pitfalls in crisis management, as I have learned in all my studies and in personal experiences. I study this. One is a failure to plan. I just addressed that. Nogales has no plan. We're going to fix that going forward after we move out of this crisis, because that's what I'm focused on right now. Second one is a failure to address the problem and failure to act. Regardless of any decision I make, one thing is true: I will make a decision that's within my left and right parameters. Can I do a better job of talking to mayor and council? Absolutely. 5 techniques of decision making under stress are vigilance, which is what I use and the preferred method. May seem authoritarian, but it's probably the most successful style of decision making during a crisis. The other 4 are maladaptive styles of decision making that can cripple even the best organizations and its team during a crisis, causing analysis paralysis and it can't happen here syndrome. Unconflicted adherence, which is a person ignores the decision. I haven't ignored anything. Unconflicted change to the new recommended course of action without questioning the decisions. And those come down from the governor's office every day that we all question from time to time because we need more information. Defensive avoidance, which is basically an attempt to avoid or postpone any decision. And then hypervigilance, which is extreme or excessive vigilance, the state of being highly or abnormally alert to potential danger. And I'm neither of those. So it has been and continues to be my goal to be a decisive leader and to always do what I think is right. Before we go into the discussion item 2, I wanted to put that out there because that's why I made a decision to go to 50-50 manning or alternate workplaces. When you go into where we are today at 211,854 nationwide, last week this time in this meeting it was at 80,000 plus. And then there's your numbers for Arizona. When you look at where we are, just since our last meeting has been 308% increase in U.S. deaths, 263% increase in Arizona deaths. These are the benchmarks that I'm using to make my decision making. These, right here. There is no playbook. And I'm not making it up as I go. I'm making decisions based on the data I have in front of me. I don't have all of it, as we talked about, but the data that I have in front of me, and it's coming in at a rapid pace daily. And there's just one of me to consume it. 178% increase in Arizona cases, 162% increase in U.S. cases. In Arizona, 63 tested, 3 cases in Santa Cruz County. There's a new case every 6 days, which is what we talked about last week. That's why I make the decisions I've made on personnel. A daily 3% increase in tests in Santa Cruz since they started. Now, as far as some equipment, Councilman Rojas, I think the mayor was part of it, instrumental in making it happen. We ordered 600 masks, so that's in the works. Each Nogales police officer has 2 masks and latex gloves. Additional 80 masks are coming from the Border Patrol. That's been in the works for a week or 2, I think. Hand sanitizers for the PD is on the way. Those are the facts that I know on this particular slide. The assumptions, new cases will be identified in Arizona and Santa Cruz County, probably 6 days from now. Hopefully not sooner. Employees exposed to this virus will be quarantined at home, and it may result in a rapid reduction in services. That was one of the other reasons we switched to alternate workplaces, and then 50% of the folks here. Because it's like a grenade. If you throw it in the center of the group, you're going to take them all out. So we split the force, and we think we can continue with seeing the services, for now, that way. And then action is necessary to protect employees and ensure the continuity of government services. So those are the reasons we are where we are. Those are the reasons the second item's on the agenda. Are there any questions on this slide?
Go ahead, Councilman.
Mr. Johnson, we have those 63 tested for COVID-19. We had a situation that you reported to us last time there were some public work employees that attended a seminar on blue staking, and it turned out that the guy from Phoenix was a confirmed COVID-19 carrier. And our workers, the public workers, you sent them home to be quarantined,
Yeah.
which I concur with. But I understand from the workers that they were charged vacation time, their personal vacation time for that. And I thought, when I read in the Governor Cuomo and everybody else, that nobody's supposed to be charged like that. Their personal time when we send them home.
I'll look into it, but I think the timing of it, because the new benefit starts April 1st.
Yes.
I think so. So it was in effect then.
Well, then you need to bring that back to the council.
Yes.
So if there's going to be an exception to the personnel manual, we can make that exception to the personnel, because I think this is a unique
Right.
situation that I don't think that's fair that we send employees home. I think it's fair. What you guys did was correct. What I don't agree with is that they're being penalized, their personal time
Right.
for that.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what I don't agree with.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it and bring it back.
And then on those 3 cases did you get all 600 masks?
No, they've been ordered.
Oh, they've been ordered.
Yes, sir.
Is that the one the mayor helped with?
Yeah, but that's the one he orchestrated.
What happened with that, Mayor?
The order is done. Actually, we did the PO today, but
Yeah.
just to inform you and members of Mr. Johnson, today they delivered 2 boxes of masks donated by the company and a box of shields, and it's sitting in my office.
Who's
So,
there?
it's Alpha Prote.
Oh.
Yes. I contacted the person there, and they were very good about it, and they said we'll donate some masks and some shields. So I have them in my office, members of the council and Mr. Johnson, and the order I think probably go out tomorrow for the 3 cases.
That's great.
Oh, yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know, Mayor. I think that if these individuals, because of the timing, I think that should be brought back to the council so that we can take action to authorize that these individuals not be penalized with their personal time because we sent them home to be quarantined.
Is that an issue, a policy issue, Mr. Mass?
It could be if the council chooses to do that. But Mayor, if I could understand,
go ahead.
my understanding was that these employees were being charged sick time, and only like 1 or 2 employees didn't have sufficient sick hours to make a full paycheck. And so the city does currently have a policy that if you need additional sick hours, up to 80 hours can be forwarded to you. It's like you go into the hole for 80 hours. And so none of the employees, my understanding, missed any pay. And also I'm not sure that any of them had to dock any vacation time, but rather it was sick hours.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead. Vice Mayor.
do we still, Mr. Massey, do we still have the donated policy from the other employees that they can donate some of their sick leave or vacation leave?
I think that would be directed to the city manager.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that had no change in that. We hadn't changed that.
But, Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
you want to speak about it?
No, since you started, I'll go right after you.
Whether it's vacation time or sick leave, they should not be penalized with their own time. Because if something happens later on that they do get sick or have a heart attack and they run short of sick leave time, they gotta ask for it. Okay, and they may get it, they may not. I think that on these situations, the uniqueness of the situation prevails that we as a council set a policy that they are not penalized, they continue to receive their pay, but they do not get penalized sick leave nor vacation.
Especially when we put the employees in that position.
Right.
The city did. You know, it wasn't our fault or their fault that somebody else was going to be there as a case, but the employees were there and were sent by the city there. So.
And I don't want April 1st to be our guiding light. Our guiding light is the fairness for our employees, whether it's March 13th, 14th, or the 21st. That's our guiding light. What's right, what we think is a right policy for our, so please bring that back, so we can address that issue.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Johnson, first of all, thank you very much for looking into that concern that I had previously with the masks and the gloves. Now, the other thing that I think I had mentioned, are we basically stockpiling that? Do we have that? Because from my understanding, probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, things are going to get worse. Fortunately, right now, we're not that bad, thank God, in our county or in our community. But I know that things are going to get worse in the very near future. So are you preparing for that, or could you give us an update on that, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, as you
Thank
see
you,
some of
ma'am.
the numbers on the slide, Councilman Ross, we are trying to stockpile as quickly as possible. On gloves alone, probably guesstimating around 3,000 pairs. We got 1,500 more gloves in today. So we're trying to order supplies quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And Mayor,
Go ahead.
just and this is just me, I'm not speaking on behalf of the council and especially Councilman Barona. But I would be cautious in giving things away until and you know that. I think that you know how I feel about that, Mr. Johnson. And that's basically, we need to take care of our employees, we need to take care of our community before we even consider looking at those options. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes. Anybody else? Do you have
Mr.
anything?
Johnson, so the presentation right now is just going over the policy that you are implementing. I guess it's called 50/50. Is that what this
That's what
statistical data is alluding to, justification for your 50/50?
well, part of the discussion items was, one was that,
Uh-huh.
and then the other one were actions we had taken again through this crisis. So, and these are the most recent actions we've taken.
All right. So then when we get down to number B, is that what you're asking from us on item B there? If we're okay with your 50/50 in that, or I'm just confused.
Just direction in general on anything else?
Well,
Let me
But I'm not-
just say a few things about that.
Are we
Yeah.
in A or B, Mayor?
Now, you can go anywhere you want. I put those two.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. But it's still on the 50/50. I'm a little concerned with that, members of the city council. For the simple reason is that I get an executive order, and I'm sure you all know from the governor, the second one, where the governor indicates that it's okay if you guys go play golf. Did you read that? Anybody read that? Okay. So if the governor says it's okay as long as there's no more than 10 people and you have distance between each other, why can't we have our street department working? Why can't we have them cutting weeds? The weeds are getting high all over why can't we have them cleaning the washes to prepare ourselves for the flood season, which is a couple months away? We have to think about that. I honestly believe, and this is the way I think, I honestly believe that an employee working out in the fresh air by himself or with another employee is probably safer than being at home with his family when they're going and shopping at the stores where there's a lot more people, okay? Because they're at work. They're not congested, there's not a group, they're not in an enclosed area, they're out in the fresh air. Those are one of the things that almost every governor of this nation has said. People go out and walk. We're not telling you not to walk. Just don't have contact sports. Just don't have, it's out there. It's for us to read. And I have to follow the governor's executive order. As a mayor, and the conference calls that I've been having, when I give the mayor report, you're going to see how many conference calls I've been part of. This morning I have with the federal government. I have with the feds and I have them with the governor's office. They're giving us the facts. They have the mayors from all the cities asking questions. And I've been listening to the questions that other mayors have been asking. And a lot of them have concerns about that. You know, yes, it says stay home, stay safe, stay connected. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to provide the services to this community. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that you know what, let's just have half of the street people working, half of the sanitation people working, half recreation people working. I can understand in an enclosed area. You know, I understand that. But I don't understand that. I do not agree with having 50% of our personnel. You know, I got a call yesterday, and I'll show it to you. I have a text from a person that almost ran off the road on Old Tucson Highway because there's 3 potholes there, or actually not potholes. They're depressions on the road that have been there for several months. The Public Works knows about, and the people, I live right next to, the people are going into the oncoming traffic to avoid those holes. Are we going to wait here and just we can send 2 guys out there to work on that. We can send 3. One can be on the backhoe, the other ones can be on the bottom. I honestly don't believe that if you're out there, you're gonna be in a situation that if you're in an enclosed area. Now, if the governor would say, you know what, we're not going to do any repairs in the streets. The construction companies stay at home. Nobody works. Everybody shuts down. Then I can understand that. But the governor is not saying that. When they say stay home, they're basically saying that when you're going to go to Walmart or any store to shop, go by yourself. Don't take the whole family. And I'm sure you guys understand that. Don't take all the kids, the wife and grandmother and everything. Just go by yourself, buy and come back. Try to limit your time. Distance yourself. Distance yourself. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. That hasn't changed. They're not saying, you know, we're not going to follow just because Sierra Vista does it, the county does it, or something. We shouldn't be following that. Let's look at what we have. Let's look at the spirit of the city. Do we need this? And then I think this is a policy that we need to address as council. They can recommend whatever they want. But as a council, we should say, yes, that's okay. Send 50% of the people. Do you think it's fair that the citizens out there that know that we're sending 50% of the people and they're going around potholes and they're going around everything, and 5 guys in street department or 4 guys in the street department are going to be able to do the work? I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. I was the director of that department of Public Works. It doesn't work that way. We barely have staff, as you know. We're shorthanded. In each one of those departments, we're shorthanded. And cutting half of that staff, no, I don't know how to do
Mr. Mayor?
that. Just go ahead.
Well, with that in mind, and one of the things that you mentioned, Mr. Johnson, which I agree with you, there is no plan. You're looking for that direction from us. So I appreciate that you're looking for that direction, but I have a tendency to agree with the mayor, because I think that we need to. There are people that know that they don't have those symptoms, that they're good, they're healthy, and for them to be working, I agree. We need to have that workforce. Now, I think we can continue with that if there's a need in the near future, whether it be next week or the following, or you see a different call, or you come across different information, we can have a special meeting and change our minds. But there's no set rules on at this point. There's no right or wrong, and you said that. Right now, we're basically in the seat of our pants, but we have to run our community as we understand it. And like you said, in following our directions. So I agree with the mayor on how to go forth. If there's a need, whether it be next week or the following week, because of the changes, you're seeing a change in the statistics, then we can make another move.
Councilman, believe me, the governor will let us know
Yeah,
if we have to
I
shelter
agree.
in place.
I agree.
They'll let us know. He himself doesn't even want that. Shelter in place. Nobody wants it. There hasn't
Yeah.
been, not even the Governor Cuomo has said shelter in place. They don't want to say that. Do you know what happens with that? Everybody stays home, nobody goes out, even the police, everybody. As it is right now, most of these police departments are sending 5,000-6,000 of their men at home. Why? Because they're all claiming they're sick. And you know, and that's, you know, if that comes to if it comes to that, hey, I'll be the first one to say, you know what? Yes, let's send our people. You know, let's not do any work. You know, that paving that project with the sewer line.
Yeah.
What is that? Are we going to vote on it today, and then the company's not going to come and work, or we're just going to wait
Just
for them to
sitting there.
decide? Or you know, the Perkins job.
Yeah. Just sitting there.
That's been that, you know.
It should have been done by
You know,
now.
okay, so what you know? Let's not you know. There's understanding. The people here in the windows, they meet people every day. They're not doing that no more. They're going to the front door. That's understandable. Okay, but somebody that's cutting with a weed, doing potholes and stuff, he's not going and shaking hands with everybody that walks by the street. I think we need to have our staff continue working and preparing ourselves, because the next thing that's going to happen after this is the monsoon season. 2 weeks from now, and we're not even prepared for that. We should be preparing for that right now. We should be preparing for our budget right now, and we're not doing that either. So there's other things we can do, and you know, I'm sorry, but you know, it's if you're following or following the county or Sierra Vista, because I got emails from John. Sierra Vista went into this, and you know, I really don't care what Sierra Vista did. Sierra Vista has a different thing. We're a border community. This is a border community. In a way, we're lucky because there's been that partial closure of the border. Because otherwise, we would have a floating population of 100,000 that you don't know about this, Mr. Johnson. And right now, there's less cars on the road right now that you could be working on the roads because there's hardly no cars on the street. I think we should be taking advantage of that and doing the work that we've been doing, because there was a lot scheduled to do, and it's not being done. We haven't done anything in the streets for the past 3 weeks. Nada. Because I know the schedule. There's nothing being done. I've been by the streets that they should have been paved already. Nada. Not even blue staking has been done. So I don't know what our employees are doing for 3 weeks. But now that if you cut them in half, well, there's going to be less done, because now you're going to only have 4 guys or 5 guys on the street department, and I don't even know how many you're going to have in the water and sewer. So let's just hope we don't have anything major to do, because otherwise you're going to be calling those people that are going to be at home to come and work. So why go there? Why don't we wait till we get to that point? I think it's premature.
So, Mr. Mayor, if we're at 100%, everybody's working, and people start getting sick, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, they're going to get sick. Why? Not because they're working. They're going to get sick because they probably were at home or somewhere else. I don't think they're going to contract that at work.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
No, I can tell you that they're working on the street. Unless somebody comes in from the outside, like that person came and puts the employees in a position, that's how they're going to get it. Or like Mr. Varona said, in the trash, there might be something in the trash. So are we going to stop picking up trash, or we're going to protect our employees?
Who in this room has the virus?
Who in this room has the virus? Hopefully, I hope none of us.
Hope,
Yeah,
right? Hope.
yeah.
You don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't know. That's
Absolutely.
why I don't want
You don't have
anybody
to
else
have-
but
you-
us.
You don't even have to have symptoms.
I know that. Don't tell me what, I know that.
I'm just.
But what I'm saying
Right.
is I think our employees should be working.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they are good 50-50. If 50% get sick, we have 50% of a force left. If folks start dropping and they're all here, we're gonna be less than 50%, guaranteed.
Mr. Johnson, so you mean to tell me that if the employee goes home, he's not gonna go out?
Do they go out every day anyway?
No, I'm telling you, if you send him home, he's not gonna go out? Yes, he is. They're gonna go to the store, they're probably gonna go meet some friends or whatever, because most likely they got a better chance of picking something out there.
I don't know that.
Because I worry going into Walmart. I don't
worry-
know if you go to Walmart,
I worry coming
but I
here.
worry go to Walmart.
Walmart everywhere.
Yeah. Well,
Because if you look at
you
the
know.
numbers, Arizona's just been lucky so far.
Well, I hope we continue being lucky, and I hope so. But if the governor says, you know, we're going to be sheltering in place, I think that's the time we do it because he's going to know better. You know, he just said, stay home, stay safe, and connected a few days ago. All right, so you know, and he didn't even want to say that. He didn't even want to say that. All right, so and there's a bunch of states. There's only a few states that have said that. You know, and those are the ones that have our hot spots. Arizona's not a hot spot yet, and I hope it doesn't become a hot spot. But I think just let's not prematurely jump at this. Let's have our employees work and let's get some of this work done. I don't know what Mr. Barcenas is saying, but there's a lot of work out there. And I'm going to tell you right now, those two depressions on the road over there on Old Tucson Highway, if a car keeps on the way they're going into a double yellow line to go in the left lane to avoid those two, and you know which ones I'm talking about, Vice Mayor? They're avoiding that, and every day I look out the window and I see those cars swerving and swerving. One of them might have an accident down the road. They're going to say, well, that's a city issue. Why didn't they take care of it? And those are our streets. Those are the conditions of our streets. You're not going to be able to take care of those with 4 people. Were you going to say something, Mr. Odomar?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, I passed by Morley Avenue, and you had a big street crew working on tar. I don't know what that, fixing the street with tar and all of that, with a little shop. We had about 8 people there, and they were 6 feet apart from each other. And the ones over there on Berkin Street, I'm there every morning, and Innova is there every day working. So that project is still going. They have their workers out there. They're digging a big hole there again. They put in another water line there from a hydrant, and they're putting in some new meters in there. But I think that there's some things that the workers are doing that.
They're striping right now.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing on Morley, striping.
Oh, they're with a tar deal.
Yeah, they're striping. They're filling up the cracks.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
they do. Filling,
yeah.
is
Because
that what you call striping?
Because
I don't know.
there's
Meter
no
filling in.
they're what they're doing is because there's no traffic. They usually do that late at night.
Yeah, but they're working there. So, your position is what?
My position is exactly what we did this week. Unfortunately, the mayor and council may not like it, but I think it was the right thing to do. Because I have one question for all of you. When I was in the military, my life was worth about $400,000. Who wants to put a price tag on somebody in the city of Nogales, on their life? If you do, double down now. Because I'm just trying to take care of the employees. I mean, you can disagree. We can disagree all day long. But I believe in the decision I made.
Is that a policy or that the council will make?
It's something that, the way that this agenda item is written, Mayor, is a specific direction could be given to the city manager, but I think it would be best in the form of a motion.
Yes.
You know, so that it's very clear what the direction is. And so to answer your question, Mayor, it's a policy that could be considered by council. and direction given in the form of a formal vote. That would be within the parameters of council authority.
Do you think you should have brought this to us before you did it, or you just figure you do it?
Well, based on the circumstances, Mr. Mayor, over the past few weeks, you were dealing with me with a memorandum, so we weren't talking, right? You talked to John,
Yeah.
right? But based on my knowledge of the charter and what my left and right limits are, this decision was administrative in nature, and it was related to personnel, the management of the operations of the city. Would it have been better to run it by you? Absolutely, but we're not talking.
Oh, so you can't send a memo to me or send John to my office?
We weren't talking.
Oh, that's your problem. So you know what?
Excuse me, sir, I think that's both of our problems.
No, no. The thing is that you could have gone to my office, or you could have sent John over there. You know, I talk to John every day. Every day. He texts me every day. And I talk to him on the phone every day. John never said, you know what, we're going to be doing this. We're going to go 50-50. I heard it at the very, which was yesterday. That's when I heard it, because you were going to do it today. Is that true or not?
That's when we made a decision,
Yeah.
and we pushed the information out.
See, you bring it to me, I bring it to the council, and we vote on it, and we make a decision. That's what we usually do, you know.
You don't vote on a decision like that.
Yes, we can. Of course we can. Yes, we can.
I don't think so.
Can we,
Mayor.
Mr. Messi?
It is my opinion that there is a provision in the personnel manual that seems to be somewhat on point. There's it's a section on employee working hours, which is chapter 16. And it says working hours for full-time city employees shall be 40 hours weekly, 52 weeks annually, consisting of 8 hours per day, customarily from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. However, that's 16.01A, but then subparagraph 1 under that says modifications of this schedule may be made by city manager or by department director with the written approval of the city manager, subject to any local, state, or federal legal limitations and or requirements. So subject to local limitations, I think council has the authority to make local limitations in the form of what we're doing now, which is a open discussion at a properly agended meeting, and you could make a local limitation if that's the intent and desire of city council to do that.
Okay,
Go ahead, Councilman.
we gotta do something. This thing of not talking to each other, it's not gonna get us anyplace. And I'm not gonna sit here with you guys not talking to each other. He reports to us and guides us on what we're gonna do on this agenda. I don't want the people to think that we're trying to intrude on the city manager form of government. No, you gotta be talking to the city attorney, everybody's gotta talk to everybody here. We're in a crisis right here with this COVID. We feel like you do too, Mr. Johnson. We don't want our employees in danger. I don't want them to come out and say that they got the COVID because of this. But you guys have to talk to each other. We're here to do business. We are adults here. You guys don't talk to it, then you jeopardize how we vote and what happens, and then I'm accountable to the people. Why did you let this happen? I don't want to continue doing business like this anymore. We're adults, we're professionals. Some of us are elected, some of us are appointed. But I want us to do business. We don't have to like each other. And there are no restaurants for us to go for lunch together anyway. So, please, start talking to each other. You don't have to like each other, but we have a business. We have a city to run. I'm one of 7 that do it for right now. So please talk to each other so these things don't come out here in public and this. We're not trying to undermine you, but you have to communicate with the mayor. It's got to be a dual deal, but we have to work as professional people here. So please work as professional people. Walk into his office, say, here's what it is, this is my plan. You don't, well, you shouldn't shake hands, but do whatever you have to do, okay? But please, I don't wanna go through this anymore. Let this be the last time that we have this thing, we're not talking to each other. We have a $55 million business to run, and not only that, you're bringing out very critical statistical facts over there, and Arizona is going to be hit hard the last week of April.
It's coming.
We need to prepare. So, let's get it together, and then if you wanna bring it back and this and that, but I don't wanna be put in this position anymore. No more put me in this position. You guys come here, you talk to the city attorney, the mayor, you come over here with a plan, consultating with you, and let's get it done. All right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I agree, wholeheartedly agree with Councilman Verona, right? I think everybody's got to, whatever the problems are, let's forget the problems. We're dealing with a bigger problem right now. And that's where everybody should concentrate about giving direction and all this. Let's all get together and figure out what that direction should be. Doesn't have to be tonight, we don't have to give an order, or it doesn't have to say we're gonna vote on it. But I think that maybe we can all get together and you and the mayor get together and the people there in the departments get together and come up with some plan that can help the city of Nogales. That's the only interest we have. In the city of Nogales and Arizona and the United States. That's what's gonna be needed to help the situation. And discussing it the way we're discussing it, it's not helping anybody and it's not getting us anywhere. So again, I would be very uncomfortable to vote on anything that would give direction at this moment. So that's the way I feel about it. So that's my feeling.
I concur with you too, Councilman.
Are you sure you're gonna concur with the Democrat?
This time is the first time in 3.5 years that he makes sense.
He made sense? He made sense, okay. So, on this, members of the council, what do you want to do on this?
I would like for you, I don't want to be put in a position to vote right now. Mr. Massey gives an opinion, I concur with his opinion, but I don't want to be looked at like we're trying to undermine what you're trying to do, Mr. Johnson, trying to think that we're trying to circumvent your authority, okay? So this gotta be straight, gotta get straightened out. But then again, you and the mayor have to talk, have to work together, present things to us so that we're properly educated to make a good decision for the community. That's what I think we want to see. Let's get down to business. It's
Go
not a
ahead,
time.
Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, it's a real hit and miss situation at this point, and I'm talking hit and miss. But as I recall, you know, when we went through the hiring process, that one of the main things, and I think that we can all agree, is communication. It is so important. I mean, there's just no way we can conduct business without communication. So in this particular case, I think that we're saying, I truly feel that I think that our workers need to continue. But at this point, with the information that was brought forth, I just don't feel that we're in the right situation or position to make a decision right now on that. I think that it needs to be brought back again, but I think that we all need some comfort that the communication lines are going to remain open. Because I just can't see us conducting good business. We can conduct business, but not good business in the situation that we're in right now.
Well, actually, if we don't do anything about it right now, it's gonna stay 50-50. So,
Well, yeah, Mayor, because you're right. You're right. But I don't want the
and I don't plan to have another meeting within the next 7 days, so.
But I don't want the employees to think also, Mr. Johnson, that, okay, so what happens tomorrow morning? See, so I would prefer that we stay 50-50, so we don't have everybody confused tomorrow morning of what's happening, and then you guys get together with a plan. Are we gonna continue this? If not, how are we going to deal with this? All right, and look at the data. Very important that you look at the data of what's happening.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
I just have a question. The employees, they already know that they're gonna, half of them are gonna stay home? Do they know already?
We started 50-50 today.
Yeah, today they started.
They
That's why-
started.
Without knowing?
The information was pushed
This is the first
out.
time I'm aware of it.
No, the information was pushed out yesterday
Yeah,
To who?
I got it.
to everybody,
I
mayor,
got it.
council, everybody.
An email?
Yeah. I did
Well,
get
we
the-
got it, but the decision wasn't based on good communication. And I think that that's the point tonight. I received it, but it was like, this is what's gonna happen. However, we're finding out tonight that there was a need for communication. And I think that you agree, Mr. Johnson, that I think along that process, I think you would have felt more comfortable in having the support of the mayor and the council. Am I correct on that?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's definitely conducive
Yeah.
to better operations. But that wasn't the case. It just it wasn't happening. And I made the decision based on the information I have, and what I do daily is manage the city. That's what I get paid to do. I don't have to ask on every decision I make, nor would you want me to. And I didn't do the Me Too movement. I didn't follow suit when the county did it. I didn't follow suit when anybody else did it. I made the decision based on when I thought we needed to make a decision. And one of the triggers was a third case. In addition to the number just continuing to rise. There was analysis as part of the decision making. I think we're getting hung up on that just because I did it, right? I disagree with Mr. Massey on basically backing that train up. You can make a run at it, but I don't think the Attorney General is gonna agree with it.
However, Mr. Johnson, if we decided to vote on this tonight, let's just say that we decided, would you go along with it and accept that?
No, sir.
And you would not accept it?
No, sir.
So you would view it as undermining you to some degree? At this point?
I would view it as not legal. Not a doctor either, but we're making judgments based on.
Yeah, but that's not.
Well,
Right.
we're going to the,
That's very confrontational, that statement.
Right, with that,
Especially not having a lot.
right.
Now, we respect you, but I'm not gonna sit here and you try to threaten me.
It's not a threat.
Let me finish, Mr. Johnson. I respect you when you have, please. I'm not in that position. I want you guys to get along. But you're not gonna tell me that Mr. Massey's telling us that what we're doing is legal, and you're saying no, and you're not gonna do what you told because of that. That's very confrontational. If that's a position you wanna take, then I have to do something else. So, please don't be confrontational with me or threaten me or anything like that. I respect you. I respect what your recommendation. Don't treat me like that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I'm not done with this.
Go ahead.
I'm not done because, see, I was going, in the way we approach this, and let me tell you that there's some information here that I was not aware of. It's just coming out right now. But at this particular point, I was willing to go ahead and say, hey, let's vote on this. Because that's what you said, right, Mr. Mason?
I said it would be within the proper
It would-
authority of the city council.
That's what he
If
said.
that's what city council wants to do.
However, then you come back with that we're going to, that it would be undermining. That's not the intention, and that's not where I was coming from. So it is confrontation.
Well, I didn't say undermining. I didn't use that term.
You said it was illegal.
I said I don't think it is based on,
Well, I would love to see that
It's an-
again,
it's an
because you did
administrative-
say that, sir.
it's an administrative function. The decision I made to alter the personnel, the workforce, it was.
I understand that. But in what we're seeing at the present moment, we could have had a change of heart on this. However, you came back and said that would be illegal. That's where the Councilman Varona came in. So I would like for you to clarify that. Is that how you feel?
My job is to manage the city.
understand that.
Administrative functions, personnel functions. That's what I did. I don't see anything outside of the left and right limits of my duties. So why would I change it? You might not agree with it, but why would you vote to change something that I did based on the charter within my left and right limits? Well, I mean, why would you do that? You may not
Because
agree.
there's no guarantee, and you started off the meeting by saying that. You started off in saying that the city of Nogales had no plan.
Had no plan when I got hired.
There had no plan.
Not for failure on my part.
No. Just
I
no
want-
plan, and there was no right or wrong. So we're going through this with no right or wrong.
So you're telling me, Councilman Rojas, that I'm wrong?
No, I'm saying that we didn't have that information because obviously the communication lines were down.
So
I was unaware of that. I can honestly tell you that. And I'm sure that maybe the other councilmen are aware of that now.
the
That they can speak for themselves.
so the mayor and
But
council.
I'm saying you made a decision, however, we're looking at it and considering something else. But you came back and saying, in a threatening manner, that we would be wrong, that it would be illegal. So then basically, what you say is set in stone. We
No.
can't change it. We have to agree with you.
No, you don't have. Obviously, you don't agree with me, right? We haven't agreed all night. But as far as my understanding of my duties and responsibilities, based on what I read in the charter, the decision, and I'm talking about this one decision, you might not like it, and you might not agree with it. And it matters not whether the city of Nogales had a plan or not for this event or any emergency, and they don't. Because I was surprised when I got here. They haven't had one forever, right? Unfortunately, you didn't know that. But my decision, in my opinion, is based on the left and right limits of my parameters. So that's all I'm saying. Why would you vote to undo it? Because you don't agree with it, and you don't know whether I'm right or you reversing it is right. My number one purpose, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But you know what wrong means for me? Maybe nobody gets sick of the employees. Or, worst case, maybe nobody dies. I've lived life and death all my life. Trust me, it's just the nature of my business, right? I've buried people. I've gone to so many funerals, not even money. So it hits a little more of a nerve with me because I value human life. And once upon a time, I had 30 seconds when my life was about to end. And the folks I was with, it was over. And I woke up a day later in a Navy hospital. So I'm wired a different way. And my sole purpose is the citizens and employees of this organization. That's just that's part of my decision making. Could be wrong, but I'd rather be wrong than somebody die.
Just one more comment on this, Mr. Johnson. Based on what you're telling me with your responsibility, and if you want to do a great job, an awesome job, then let me advise you on this. You better work on your communication. Because if you're gonna be the city manager of this community, then you better show that. Because obviously, as the city manager of this community, by not communicating with the mayor and with the staff, you had your team, but you lacked right there on whatever information, whatever preparation you were going to do. You blew it, as far as I'm concerned, with a lack of your communication. So whatever you're trying to communicate to me, it's not at 100% because you failed during that week and those days that you should have been responsible and communicated by going in there. Now, if they would have shut the door on you and you would have come in here and said, well, you know what, they shut the door on me. Well, but that's, as far as I'm concerned, where you failed.
Maldonado, do you have anything to say?
Yes. Well, what my main concern, Mayor, is, and it'll be more to legal. Mr. Johnson has directed the staff in this way. We know we have the situation out there, and if we reverse it, and something does happen, where does legal responsibility to the city go?
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, yes. My initial reaction is that the city council, when they act as policymakers, especially under Title 12, when there's an enactment of fundamental policy, then sovereign immunity does apply. So there may be no recourse by going to court if a matter of fundamental policy is adopted by city council. That's Arizona law, and there's case law, that's statute, and there's Supreme Court case law on that. However, if this wasn't viewed as fundamental policy, but just maybe a routine administrative policy, then I think you're tasked with making a good decision based on what we know. But what I'm hearing tonight is we don't know a lot. So I don't perceive at this point, and as my best legal advice to mayor and council, that there is a risk of, say lawsuit or something, liability of that nature, whichever way you decide to go on a 50-50 policy.
Vice Mayor, do you have anything?
Yes, I have a question. If this decision had already been taken by the city manager, why is it on the agenda to discuss in possible direction? If we cannot change it according to.
Well, you can change it.
Yeah.
The thing is that it was never discussed. The action was just taken, and if he wants to do it, he can do it. He just told us he's going to do it. Okay? But what I'm saying is that as long as I've been here on this dais as mayor and as council, usually the city managers on decisions like this will come and discuss it and say, you know what, this is what I plan to do, especially when it has to do with a policy manual for the employees that we approved of as council and we accepted as a policy manual for the city of Nogales. So that's the problem. That's the reason I wanted to put it on there, is because for him to explain to us why he was doing it. Okay? You don't have to make a decision. You can leave it like that. Okay? They can get sick by working, and they can get sick by not working, if that's the case.
Well, they can be sick right now.
Or they can be sick right now. Yes.
And Mr. Mayor, if I can address the Vice Mayor, it is my opinion that the City Council could, as this agenda item is written, give direction to City Manager. That is my opinion. And the direction could be to undo the 50-50 if that is the desire of City Council. So I just want to be clear here. I'm not making
Yeah.
a
No,
policy
no.
recommendation in that regard. I'm just making a legal opinion that it is within the authority of city council to consider that. And if that's not what city council wants to do, it is appropriate for city council to tell and give direction to staff. That's not what the city
I
council
would have
chooses
never
to do at
placed
this
this
time.
on, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I wouldn't
Yes,
have
sir.
placed this on the agenda if I knew that there was no reason to put it on there because it was a done deal. I put it on there because I know it's a policy. I've been dealing with policies for 20-some years here in the city of Nogales. So I understand this. And like I said, I've worked with about 5 different city managers. But we'll just leave it like that because I see some nodding, Mr. Hanesian over there going crazy on me. And you know, I can understand it, Mr. Hanesian, how you feel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
I believe that what he said basically is a feeling that he has and from his experience. Now, I understand everybody's situation. Does it look logical to go ahead and have the people not working or working in the situation, especially in the situation of Nogales? But I have to respect what he says. I have to respect that. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. We're not in that situation because the whole United States is in an uproar. And I hate to see this, that we're doing it in anger. It seems there's a lot of anger, and I don't know where this anger comes from, but there's a lot of anger. And I think the best thing we can do is just sit back, take a break, relax, and let's find out exactly what can't be done. And maybe this is the correct procedure. I don't know, because I don't have that experience. Hopefully, he has that experience.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I don't
Yes,
think-
go ahead.
I don't think any of us have the experience on what's happening right now, from the President of the United States on down. I have a great tendency to deal with protecting the students, the teachers, the staff, and the employees. Like Governor Cuomo has eloquently stated, it's better to side on the side of safety than to be sorry. I just think, I don't have a discontent with the policy that you present. I think it could have been handled better with all the logistical background that you have. You know, if you get upset with the general, you don't stop speaking to the general. You continue to communicate with the general. Correct, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
So that's where I think we need to get this in order, okay? And you also need to talk, you know, I don't want to be put in this, Mr. Massey, he's our legal advisor. I don't want to be caught in this. So I would prefer, so that we don't get into any more confusion here, that we open up all of our strains of communication and move forward as professional people. And Mayor, I would just say, I agree with your statement, Mayor. Let's just leave things the way they are for right now. Let Mr. Johnson continue with what he's doing, and let's get this thing back in order. And let's have a meeting where we can get updates that are workable and have been worked out with the mayor's office, your office, the city manager's office, the city attorney's office, so that we can move forward on these things. Okay, Mayor, I think. I'm
Okay,
ready.
yes, I know. And if it's okay, this military analogies that we're using here, we need to stop that. This is not for Huachuca. This is the city of Nogales, so let's keep, and we're councilmen and he's a city manager. Okay? We'll go to consent agenda number 4.
It's just an analogy. It's an analogy.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah, you tell the general,
Well, yeah, but
I was in the military.
you're in the military.
I had 2
He's in the
discharges.
military, I wasn't in the military. I'm just trying to bring out a point with an
Yeah,
analogy.
yeah, let's
Passage.
keep that for another day.
We don't know.
Yeah. Mr. Ocanesia was in the military too.
Robert, were you in the military?
I was not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, sir. Second? Was there a second? Yes.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Number 5, orders. Number 1, consideration possible action of order 2020-04-014.
So move, Mayor.
Second.
Discussion?
The only thing, Mr. Johnson, just give us an overview of this so that the public knows where the donation for the Hoga order or the unmanned aerial vehicles, what they're gonna be used for, what are we using it for?
So the $12,450 grant from Tohono O'odham Indian Nation is for 2 unmanned area vehicles, 3 pilot licenses, and accident measuring software. And what that will allow us to do, talking to Lieutenant Thompson, is to do better accident investigations from the air. Quicker response times, and with aerial photos, a lot quicker, probably a lot more accurate, and with the accident measuring software to actually figure out, the causes and effects of the accident a lot better.
Members of the City Council, just for information, there's no matching on this. So we're not paying anything on this, and actually we almost lost this back in November, so it was brought back. And so I'm glad they did. So since it's a no matching one, it'd be a good equipment for our police department.
Call for the question.
Thank you very much. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 2, consideration possible action of order 2020-04-015.
So move, Mayor.
Second.
Discussion.
No, Mayor, I thought that this was handled very well, prevented a big health problem for us over there. The amount is a lot lower. I thought before it was originally set at over $1 million. Then it came down to 800,000. Okay, but I'm glad we're working on this.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
How far into, are we at 80% of this, or 60%, 50%?
It's not complete till June.
No.
It won't be completed
Yeah.
till June.
They're working behind the hotel area,
Eldorado.
the El Dorado. They're working in that area. I guess they're gonna make that connection there before they tear the road. But the road's gonna be paved, all right? After it's done, the whole road is gonna be surfaced with 2.5 inches of asphalt. And it's
So
gonna,
we're probably like 25% in.
yeah, más o menos, yeah. And luckily the state allowed us to do the work that we're gonna be doing, not only on coming all the way down towards the Americana, but also on the paving. Mr. Massey, is that what it is, basically?
I
Yes.
think that's a manager question, Mr.
Manager
Mayor.
question.
What was the question?
On the asphalt, I was saying that the state's gonna give us a chance not to go, because they have real strict specs, so we're gonna do it in a way so that we can get that road surface done. Because the whole surface is gonna be paved, not
Right.
just the trench,
Yeah.
the whole road. From the Americana, I believe, that sewer line is the same sewer line that we're connected to. The fire department, the city hall, the Denny's and all those, they're connected to the same. So that whole sewer line is gonna be replaced all the way to the bank and then across the easement towards the IOI. And then once that's done, then they're gonna resurface this area of the road. That's the cost on the $800,000 for everything. Call for the question?
Call for it.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Members of the council, number 3 and number 4 are going to be tabling it. Do you need a motion on that?
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye, or do you want
Aye.
to discuss it?
No, I just want to know why you're tabling.
Because I was asked to table it by John Kissinger, Deputy City Manager, and I was asked to table it by Juan Guerra and I believe Siegel. Yeah, there's a reason for it. It's not It's not, I'm not doing it just to do it. There's,
But the grant's not in danger, right?
then not that I know of, no, everything's okay, yes.
Is that correct? Okay, Mayor.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Jeanette was gonna talk about the financial monthly report. Mr. Johnson, she can come in now. Did you guys wanna talk about it, or you just take this with you and just study it? Members of the council?
I just need Mayor, I just need a review of it because we don't have the March.
Okay,
yet. So
okay. There's no comparison
There's no
report.
comparison,
Yes,
but
I
I
know.
just to give.
Yes,
us a-
go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, I wanna know for March so I can get an idea how far we're behind.
I've been waiting for that report for a month or.
We know we're gonna be behind, the question is how far behind we're gonna be. And just by looking at the town, it looks like there's gonna be a big behind.
Mr. Hanesian, is that Trump water in that bottle there, or is it City Hall,
That's
City
not
of Nogales?
Water.
No, it's
If it
not?
was, Dr. Verona would have already taken it as part of it. He tells me he has got six Trump bottles at his house.
Jeanette, we're up to your financial report. Thank you, Jeanette.
So, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to just give you a brief update on where we're at through March. Good thing is that through March you were, doing really well. Unfortunately, that's going to change very quickly
Mayor.
within a month.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
for the public here, you're saying through March, but it's really February.
I'm sorry, February. Yes, it's February. Yes.
Otherwise, I wanna be-
Yeah, I
We're doing fine
apologize.
through March.
You're absolutely right. These are revenues and expenditures through February. So at February, we're at 8 months, which is 66.67% of our budget. And if you look at our revenues for general fund, we were ahead of that number, which was good. And if you look at our expenditures, we were below where we should be. And I also added on the side the percentage of for each category where we're at for that particular line item. So even with payroll, we're a little bit below the 66%. The next page is our investment statement, also for February. I was hoping that I could hand out the March one for today, but it's not ready yet, because I know we'll all be interested to see what impact all of this has had on the money that's invested. If you look at it quickly, we do have $6 million in the money market account, which is cash that we can easily access within 48 hours. The rest of the money is tied up in treasury bonds. Some of them will be maturing in August, so at that point we can decide if we want to reinvest or if we want to put it in the money market, again, to have quick access to it. The following page is the sales tax collected.
How much is the treasury note?
19.2 million.
Now, some of that money is already allocated, some money that's allocated for, that we've put aside or is for specific jobs?
No, it's just money that's invested. The next report is the sales tax. Now, this one is through March, but again, this is for monies collected for February sales. You will see that March was very high at 1.1 million, and that's because March had 5 Mondays. And so the money that was reported on Friday went into the bank in March, which is good, but we'll probably see it drop quite a bit in April. Oh, and so then the next page is the last 6 months that Dr. Varona had asked to see. And I apologize I didn't put this in color, but October through March, we didn't do as well, but we did do really well between July and September to get us at the, if you look at the previous page, we're at 1.1 higher than last year. But between October and March, we're only at 278,000. So that means that July, August, and September were really good months for us. The next sheet is just the departments. Again, the same departments keep continuing to trend higher, MIS and cemetery. MIS is just because they pay everything up front, and then cemetery, I think, again, the original operations and intentions were not what they turned out to be, so they're going over their budget.
Yes, go ahead.
Just want to comment about June, July, August, September are good months for us.
Were good months for us.
Were,
This past,
this last year?
this fiscal year,
Starting July the 1st.
So if you look at the sheet that's for the whole year, you'll see that on the first month, we collected 234,000 more, and then in August, 15,000, and then in September, 639,000 more than the prior year. So we,
That's last year's.
so
No, this fiscal year.
for this fiscal year. If we compare July through September of 2019, yeah, compared to July of 2018, yeah, we did really well.
So technically, as of the end of February, we're 1.1 million ahead.
Ahead, yes.
So now we gotta wait for the famous March.
So it'll probably be reduced significantly by the end of June.
But just on your general feelings, it does look like you're gonna have a huge drop on
Yes.
sales taxes coming in. And how does, obviously that's gonna affect us from what the state government gives us.
Potentially in the future, yes.
Is there anything that we can say, looking at that here, we got the CDBG money coming in, and that's a separate deal. I mean, is there anything that we could say, because of whatever reason, we're gonna be getting a couple $1 million
Yes.
from the federal government for the coronavirus deal, or does it look like anything like that?
At
Is there
this
any
point.
indication there? You know, they had it on the internet about small businesses applying,
That's correct.
right? But, they consider, small business, 10 people or whatever, it's not the same as a small business of, 400 people, right?
I think the incentive is anyone that has 50 employees or less can apply for these incentives, is what I've been reading.
The incentive I see is that you can get a loan for 2.5 times what you pay an employee, a monthly rate. If you've got 3 employees or 4 employees, that really doesn't add up to a lot of money.
That's correct. Right, and I think that the additional offset was that you would take the credit when you're paying your payroll taxes.
Right?
That was like one of the tax incentives as well.
Yes.
But as far as any assistance to municipalities, I haven't seen anything yet. But I know that they're working on it. The other thing I would like to add on the other note is that the league sent out some information a few days ago, and they anticipate that for every 1,000 jobs lost, that the impact of sales tax will be close to 400,000. So, and then the U of A just recently shared some unemployment numbers that are astonishing
For every 1,000 jobs lost,
Lost.
the impact would be 400,000?
in sales
On what?
tax.
On what?
On sales tax.
On sales tax.
Jeanette, it's unbelievable with all that hoarding
I know.
that they were doing. Everybody was, massive shopping, and you
agree.
would think that, I know, but there's a bunch of stores that have been closed. But I mean,
Yes.
only certain stores are going to do well, because it's still happening at Safeway. They need people there, and I think the majority of the stores are hiring
Right.
because they need people to restock. Cause so much, they're still selling a lot.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes, go ahead.
So when we start getting these figures in, you're gonna come back with some recommendations to get us through the fiscal year, because if we're 1.2 million ahead right now, and we drop, let's say last year, April, was 1.1 million, and if we lose half of that, that means we've lost half of what we were ahead,
Yes.
and that's a substantial drop. That's more or less what I think is gonna happen. If not more.
So again, I think it'll be, the mayor and council would need to recommend, do you want to, use up all this 1.1 that we are ahead and keep everything the same, or do you want to save that money and then just make other
Right.
recommendations where to cut?
Well, this is what I'm saying, that sometime by the end of, we should have a meeting just to discuss everything in detail, after everything has been properly communicated.
Yeah, but again, at this point, it's very hard to
At this point,
predict
it is.
anything.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
That's why I'm bringing it up. By the end of April, you should know.
The one thing I did notice when I ran a report the other day is that restaurants dropped quite a bit in February as well. So.
How about
I think
the bed tax, Jeanette?
that was also, if
That-
you look at,
yeah.
it dropped in half.
Yeah, a lot, ¿verdad? Yeah.
Because so in February, which is January, that was 34,000, and in March, which is for February, it dropped to 15.
Yeah.
Probably dropped even more.
Yeah, so we do.
And,
Okay.
and then it's just as we go through the other reports, it's all our major operating funds, HERF, you know, they're all doing well at this point. And so our revenues are still a little bit behind.
Can I go back, Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
tax? You know, we're down about $55,000 on the bed tax from 1 year to last year. So we need to do something to work on our.
No,
It-
I'm sorry, I don't mean to,
It's
disagree.
271 to 339.
yes, okay, from,
That's what I'm saying. it's
yes,
50,000.
you're right.
So
I'm
we-
sorry, I was looking at the
We
6
need to come up
months.
with some strategies of what we're doing to work with the chamber of this to attract people. But that's a substantial drop. That's the point that I wanted to make.
Thank you.
They're missing 3 months, Mr. Mayor, so, on the 339 total.
Yes, so in
Yeah,
for
but
2000.
those 3 months aren't gonna be good months, and our good months that we had the first 3 months of the fiscal year, and we're still now $53,000 behind from last year.
But actually, Dr. Verona, the 339 is the whole year,
Yeah,
and the 271 is through March.
that's what it was.
Right,
That's what it was.
so I apologize for that.
Yeah.
If you compare the two numbers, so the top number is through March, and then the bottom number is through for the whole year.
Right. And even if you look at it, we're still 50,000 behind, even if we haven't counted. And the 3 months that we have left
Are
are
probably
not
gonna
going to be good months, is my point.
Right,
All I'm trying to do is help forecast.
right.
That's how you forecast these things that we're doing. I'm just trying to make a comparison to forecast so we can start preparing ourselves.
Councilman Rojas, you were going to say something, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. What are your recommendations at this point, Ms. Perales, on the comments that Councilman Barona just mentioned for the next 3 months? What would you recommend us target?
To reduce expenses, or to?
Yeah, with the expenses.
Well, as I mentioned in the last meeting, the largest component of our expenses is payroll.
Mhm.
So if we don't want to cut anything else, then we will have no other option than to possibly do either RIFs or reduce hours. Unfortunately, there's nothing else that we can really cut back on.
Mr. Johnson, have you thought about that at this point?
We discussed it
Uh-huh.
last week, Councilman Rojas, and just like we just all agreed on, we don't have enough information now to make any
Okay.
decisions. We put the information up there. There's about $140,000 that we think we can cut without touching anybody's weekly paycheck.
Yeah.
And the only reason I threw the elephant in the room out there was the other 3 unions, because nobody wants to talk about it ever. I'm neutral, but I have to throw the information out there to figure out where we're going.
We'll decide.
And I wanted to throw it out there now and just get it done with. Throw it out there, talk about it, find out where everybody is on it, and then move forward. Because now that I know where everybody sits, now we got to go find money, right? So that's kind of where we are. And same thing with the personnel. That's the very last resort. As I said last week, that's the last thing we want to touch. But I mean, that's people's lives. You know, and it's happening all across the country. But if we can figure it out another way, that's the way I want to do it. Because I don't riffs and lay it on people and stuff like that.
You know, and it's a very difficult situation because going back to one of your concerns, Councilman Barona, you know, how can we promote our community? You know, we're sending mixed messages at the same time anyway. You know, stay home. Well, what are you doing here? You know, I mean, really. So, I mean, I know what we're used to saying, but we're in a very difficult situation because we really are not in the best position right now to promote the community. But for that matter, nobody is. So we're going to be in very difficult situations. But I think I would like to end it by saying, let's just have good communication. We need it right now.
Right. 'Cause
In order for us to make good decisions, we need to have those communications, and it's difficult for everybody.
Absolutely, and I'm a city manager. I get paid to make decisions, manage the administrative and operational part of the city. But the conundrum that we have in front of us right now, there's no way I can do that by myself. Jeanette can't, we can't do it. I need the conventional wisdom and experience. You grew up here, right? I'm gonna need the help to get through this thing, to figure it out. I can't do it. I'm a smart guy. You know, I think I am anyway. But as far as Nogales and how it works as a city, the economy and all that, I'm gonna need help from you because you know way better than I do. Council people and businessmen, businesswomen, you probably have the answers that we're looking for.
Well, and on that note, Mr. Johnson, I think that was the whole thing with today. You know, and we all communicate in a whole different way. You know, I know that I can be passionate to some degree, but I really try to keep my composure. But I really want to make a point on that. And again, with that, the communication has to be there. Because if you expect that from us to guide you and give our opinion and our direction, then we need to do it with a very open mind. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
And just chat on the sales tax with Mr. Johnson's approval. I can start to send this report weekly, so you can begin to see where we're at with sales
That
tax.
would be very good.
Yeah. So, usually the information comes in late Friday afternoon. So first thing Monday morning, I can go ahead and send that report out to keep you informed. And so again, nothing unusual from previous months on any of these reports. So unless anybody, and at the end, at the last page, I did Dr. Verona had asked to compare the last 6 months of expenses compared to the prior year. And if you look at the report, we are spending less this year than we were the prior year, which is good. So, not too much, but it's still at least something.
But still not knowing what was gonna happen, it's a good thing we did.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Thank you.
Number 7, the mayor and council's report. Go ahead.
Not to use any military analogies.
Oh,
according to
boy.
the mayor,
Thank you.
but
Please.
I would like to just say that
Jesus Christ.
March the 29th and this week, we are celebrating the National Vietnam War Veterans Day, which was March the 29th, but it's celebrated all this week. And to highlight, we have veterans here, Councilman Enesian, Mr. Johnson, Vice Mayor, and the Mayor.
Vietnam veterans.
And Mr. Massey, I forgot.
Mr.
about.
Right, but I'm not a Vietnam veteran.
Well, you're good. The elite military school.
Good
So,
Navy man.
And to the community, Mayor, and to the community, because we have a lot of Vietnam veterans and everything here. But, yeah. Was that an appropriate analogy to make, Mayor?
No, that was good because you're talking about Vietnam, and I'm very proud of serving in Vietnam, and the Vice Mayor too.
Yes, I am.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
That's all that I have.
Thank you. Yeah. Vice Mayor, do you have anything?
I don't have anything, Mayor.
Not Mayor, you know, unfortunately, this shutdown has.
Just stopped you all your
stopped
tracks
me
in your little league.
Going crazy at home.
I can imagine everybody's doing
You
this.
know, and it's, you know, just for the public to know, you know, Little League has announced, you know, not doing nothing at all, till May 11th. And, you know, we don't know nothing about our league, our, you know, city games, post tournaments, our regional, nothing. It's everything. We are working and talking, and just like, you know, us with the city, we are working with regionals and women's sport, seeing what to expect or how can we do a rush season and stuff like that. But as of now, no decisions, and you know, like they said it the other day, it's just a big rain delay, and I tell you till the water stops falling. It's all stopped. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Councilman Rojas, do you have anything, sir?
No, no, Mayor. No.
Councilman Hanesian, do you have anything, sir?
Just think maybe, thank God that we're here in Nogales where the coronavirus is very, very minimal. Hopefully it stays like that. Hopefully we don't just get think that it's not gonna affect us in the least bit, but I think it will eventually get to us. So, but for the minute, you know, we can thank God and hopefully that we stay secure.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Well, my only report is that I've been getting so many calls, and I've been trying to explain to the public, I mean, because they all have different ideas, and they think this is the end of the world. Of course it's not, but it takes forever to explain, and they have ideas that has nothing to do with what's happening. So it takes more time to explain it. And then we canceled the Fiesta de Mayo event and also the Hermanamiento event.
Yes. Thank you. Do you guys have about 2 hours?
How about 5 minutes?
Okay, I'll try to speed up. On March the 2nd, I went to Lincoln School, what I love to do every year, read to the children. Read across America. Then I participated in the Tecnolochicas conference on STEM. The same day, meeting with Hector Reyes from Senator Sinema's office, same day. March 4th, we had the groundbreaking, which most of you were there, the State Route 189. And then March 5th, had the PES-PRS meeting. March 7th through the 12th, most of us were at the National League of Cities and Towns, the Congressional City Conference in Washington, D.C. Great event. And we were there, and while we were there, we celebrated Mr. Hanesian's birthday. So I was first time that I ever been to that place, Mr. Hanesian. I want to thank you very much. And I want to thank...
Where else did you go?
I went to the Trump International. Oh, he had to pull it out. Did you hear that? Was Mr. Varona there?
Mr. Verona was there?
He was there.
And he had some Bloody Marys.
Oh, the best.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Councilman Rojas, calm down. Okay. And March 16th, I interviewed with a U of A reporter regarding the border. Same day, meeting on autism workshop. The same day, COVID-19 conference call with the county. March 17th, conference call with Governor Ducey's office regarding the COVID-19. March 18th, interview on Radio Manantial. The same day, White House conference call on COVID-19. March 19th, conference call with Mexican Consulate Ricardo Santana in reference to the virus. Same day, interview with Televisa regarding coronavirus. Same day, conference call with Governor's Office. Same day, conference call with Homeland Security regarding potential border closure. March 20th, conference call with Governor's Office. Same day, interview Telemundo regarding border restrictions. Same day, interviewed with Arizona Republic regarding border restrictions. Same day, interviewed Televisa regarding border closure. Same day, interviewed with KVOA regarding border closure. March 23rd, conference call with Governor's Office. Same day, interviewed Arizona Daily Star regarding border restrictions. March 24th, conference call, Governor's Office. March 25th, interviewed Radio Manantial. Same day, conference call, Governor's Office. March 26th, conference call, Governor's Office. Same day, interviewed KVOA. March 27th, conference call, Governor's Office. Interviewed Fox News regarding border restrictions. Mr. Hanesian, did you hear that?
Fox News.
Okay. You know, fair and balanced. Just, I'm saying it's fair and balanced. Same day, interviewed U of A newspaper regarding border restrictions. March 30th, conference call, Governor's Office. Same day, special conference call with Governor's Office regarding stay home, stay safe, stay connected order. March 31st, Radio Manantial and Radio Geni. And that's it. Busy month.
Very. Lot of meetings.
Yes. So, with that, members of the council, see, I was gonna lick my fingers, you see that? Oh, man, I can't do that.
And we'll have some sanitizer.
I just washed my hands anyway. So, future agenda items, members of the council. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Here again, the last meeting I asked to see, probably things are gonna change, but I do wanna know what's gonna happen with the annex bill. I asked for it at the last one. That might be something that you might recommend, that we're gonna save some money, but at least so we're able to respond to the people. We're gonna hold off on the annex building because of economics. And I would like to know, what about the construction of the sidewalks at Nogales High School? We said we were gonna do that, and the last time you gave a report of that, Mayor, it was supposed to start in March.
Yes.
And I've been looking for that, and I haven't seen anything yet.
Right.
And I drive by there all the time, and we were
It's
supposed-
out of my hands, Councilman, I don't know.
Okay, well, we need to.
Okay.
Also, we said we had a presentation done on the building permits, a rate, and we had a comparison with other cities. You gave direction there. We still haven't had anything like that. We brought it up because we had a concern about people leaving Nogales. And now we need to make sure that we do what we can with these building, especially now, to make sure people build here in Nogales. What we have to do. Also, I'd like to know what's going to happen with the compensation study, the recommendation with that. And we're talking about saving money. I don't know how many times I've asked this, but Stone Garden, how much is it costing us? The city of Tucson got it. Pima County got out of there because of the cost. And we're still in it. And I know that the contract should be coming up, but you need to make a presentation because it's costing money. It's costing us to. I know that the federal government pays for their overtime, and I know that the police officers depend on it, but we're putting in all the benefit money.
Councilman Varona, can I just mention something in regards to Stone Garden? It was gonna be on this agenda,
Right.
but I took it off because I did not have enough information in regards to that for you, because what you've been asking from the police department and from finances. So if I wasn't gonna have what needed for you to hear from these departments, I wasn't gonna put it on because it was gonna happen the same thing that happened the other two times. You were gonna say, well, what is happening with this? So if we don't have the information from staff, I'm not gonna place it on the agenda because it'll be just an agenda item that we're just gonna bring it back another day. So that's why I took it out. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. And I also like to have, the resolution for the sanctuary city for the unborn. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else with an agenda item? Councilman Rojas, do you have anything to tell us?
No, I don't.